Okay, so this story I thought was interesting, and it's about bikes. It says there's a national
wait, it's about
shortage.
bikes? Bicycles?
Oh, it's a car show.
No.
Yeah, it's
I'm
about
just-
getting around and
Yay,
transportation
bicycles.
responsibly. Yeah. So I didn't know this, but there's currently a shortage in the U.S. and people are buying bikes right now during the pandemic. Hey, we're at home. Let's go for a bike ride, and you're socially distanced when you're doing that. So great. Let me read just a few of the high points from this. The article is titled "The Surprising Reasons a Biking Boom is Great for Cities." So some of them, there are 13 years of crash data from 12 American cities between 2000 and 2012 that found that bike routes meant fewer fatalities on those roads. And that's interesting. So it somehow makes drivers more mindful. Although this only happened when the bikes had physical protection, not just painted lines. So that's one thing. If you are a city that right now, we talked about Seattle and Portland, how they're taking some roads and making them low speed roads and pedestrian friendly roads and only allowing cars in that are in that neighborhood. So this is something that you could do to put in the physical divider for that extra pedestrian and bicycle traffic. And then one of the reasons that caught my eye is that they specifically talked about Portland. Cyclists and pedestrians in Portland, Oregon spend more per month in stores, bars, and restaurants than car drivers. So if you're walking or biking, you're involved in that neighborhood. You're paying attention to what's going on. You're not just looking at how do I get through this as quickly as possible to get wherever I'm going. So if you see a shop that's interesting, you're going to stop and check it out and just be more involved in your community, which gets back to what we were talking about earlier. So the last thing I want to throw out here, and then we can talk about it if you guys want, is there's a new bike lane going in Seattle that's replacing 12 street parking spaces. And when they did that, that increased spending in the stores that were at that storefront. So that was taking out parking, which you would think, hey, if there's a parking spot in front of my store, I'm going to sell more. No, it turned out a bike lane actually sold more than parking spots did. There you go.
See, that part really surprised me because, I mean, I understand bars and restaurants, right? Because I can easily carry out what I purchased because I ate it and drink it.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as going to stores, you know, the whole thing, like, I'm not going to be like buying clothes. I wouldn't even think that I would be buying merchandise on a bike.
Yeah, you could have a couple of saddlebags to throw stuff in, or a backpack to toss it in.
Speak for Bicycle City, which I live in, and for a lot of people, you get those damn kids out of those kiddie caravans you attach to your bicycle. Get those kids out of there, and you throw your groceries in the back, and you throw stuff in the back. They are everywhere shopping with those things, full of their groceries, their clothes. They go to the hardware store. They travel up and down the town in the bicycles. So yes, a lot of people actually use that as a way to carry basic goods. And in a lot of cases, I've seen some pretty interesting transport options that seem to be safe. I personally can't ride a bike, so I'm gonna let them go. But it does work.
Yeah. All right. So it's like a trunk.
I like Patrick's comment about the local aspect of biking.
Mm-hmm.
That you are traveling slower, therefore you can look around a little bit more, and you can find, hey, there's a store I might be interested in, or I'm going on a particular journey, not realizing that there may be 2 or 3 stops before that I could stop in and get the same merchandise or shop in the same way. So it's something that allows you to stay more local and spend the money in the local community, as opposed to in a car you may be driving to the other side of the metropolitan area because you're just used to going to a particular one store. But with the bike, you could find out what's going on around you a lot easier by going slower.
Right, you'll find alternatives to the big box places.
If you really mean it, because it's very cool to say, everybody shop local, support locals, be independent. Yeah. If you really mean that, ride your bike to the local cluster of local merchants and check them out and walk through them and spend some money. The other thing I wanted to bring up is e-bikes and cargo bikes.
Yeah,
this is, this isn't like 1970 where everything's like a 10-speed Schwinn where you maybe got a basket in the front, man. Some of these cargo bikes are amazing and they're easy to ride, especially with an electric motor assist. You can carry all kinds of stuff on it. And it's not the matter that you're going to sweat bullets getting home because you've got that little throttle motor. This is a really good solution, and a lot of bikes would help all of us out. It would make our living experience better. I'm done.
Yeah.
I'm curious how it would compare with places like Amsterdam and certain cities in China where they're more bikeable. Does this come closer to what they're seeing, or are we anomalous?
Anomalous. Unless you have a really focused open space planning committee that wants to develop a bike-friendly city. I mean, like I said, I've sat through way too many meetings.
I mean the places that are already more bike-friendly than the rest of the country.
I lived in Alameda, and to give you an example, I rode in my tricycle a parade that was about sustainable transit all through Alameda on my trike. And to get to downtown Oakland from my trike, the easiest way, because the main route directly from Alameda to Oakland is the tunnel. And it took me a lot to be able to drive through the tunnel by myself. There's no way to ride a bike through the tunnel unless you are crazy. So you have to go all the way to the bridge of Alameda, which is halfway midpoint through the island, and then cross up through, and then bike through most of East Oakland, which if you know the area, you know East Oakland, and then come up to the Jack London Square, and that made it almost added on 100% extra mileage route to go there. And that is the essence of a transit route that should have been bikeable, but was not immediately bikeable unless you fully understood how to plot a route out from Alameda and around. But Alameda itself was actually very bikeable if you only shopped right there on the island. So it's one of those, local involvement really matters if you would like to have a more bikeable city. And for that, attend your planning commission and your open space commission and posit that as a targeted goal for your city councils for this year or the next year, depending on when your session is.
Buy a bike, ride it, and then be involved to make it easier to ride your bike. I have the same situation here in North San Diego County. There's a string of North County communities, and you literally can't get south of them inland. There's two ways. You can go on a hiking trail, which is usually full of, oddly enough, hikers, and they resent a bicycle on there, or you're allowed to be on a 1.5 mile long stretch of the 80-mile-an-hour 15 South Freeway on your bicycle.
On a bike.
Yeah. You get on at one exit and get off at the next exit. And then you can go all the way to San Diego on a bicycle. But, I mean, that's crazy.
That's hella dangerous.
That's crazy.
Yeah. And that's the same thing. The same thing happened around Chicago.
Has a bike route from Davis to Sacramento. So although it's long, you're protected. I'm sorry, Tony, go ahead.
Yeah, no, as I say, the same thing happened in and around Chicago. As suburbs grew up and developed, very car-centric, 2 or 3 lanes in either direction with a turn lane in between, certainly not safe for pedestrians. And, your bike lane is a sidewalk, if and when you can find one. Just not planned out for people on bikes. It's, everything, they're built up for mega malls, strip malls, big box stores, and cars. That's it.
Looking at you, Contra Costa County.